In our hyper-connected world, it's easy to believe every place is within reach. But some countries remain walled off, not by bricks, but by geography, politics, and culture. These are places where the outside world is a distant echo, and life unfolds behind a veil of secrecy or across vast empty oceans. Getting in isn't just hard. It's nearly impossible for most. Here, isolation is a choice, a strategy, or a fact of nature, shaping everything from daily life to national identity. The rules of globalization don't apply. Strict controls, logistical nightmares, and ancient customs keep these nations apart. Today, we're peeling back the curtain to explore the world's most isolated countries. From North Korea's iron grip to the remote Pacific Islands, this is a story about the power and the price of isolation. Our journey starts in North Korea, a nation that's turned isolation into a way of life. The Kim dynasty has built a fortress mentality, convincing citizens the outside world is a threat. For most North Koreans, leaving is unthinkable. Travel is a privilege tightly controlled by the state. There's no global internet, only a censored intranet filled with government-approved content. Foreign media is banned. Propaganda is the only voice allowed. Decades of sanctions have impoverished citizens, while the elite enjoy comforts. Foreigners see only a staged reality. North Korea is a living experiment in absolute isolation, a nation frozen in time, where the state controls every aspect of life. Next, we travel to Bhutan, a nation where isolation is a philosophy, not a prison. High in the Himalayas, Bhutan's remoteness was once a matter of geography. Now it's a conscious choice. Bhutan opened to the world in 1974, but only on its own terms, high-value, low-volume tourism. Every visitor pays a daily sustainable development fee, funding free education and healthcare for citizens. Mass tourism is discouraged. Only those truly invested in the experience are welcomed. All trips are booked through government-approved operators with itineraries set in advance. The result? A country where tradition thrives, architecture is mandated by law, national dress is worn daily, and over 70% of land is forest. Bhutan measures success not by GDP, but by gross national happiness, focusing on sustainable development, environmental protection, cultural preservation, and good governance. Modernization is slow and deliberate. TV and internet arrived only in 1999. The government balances connectivity with cultural preservation, wary of foreign influence. Bhutan's isolation has protected its unique identity, allowing traditions rooted in Buddhism to flourish. But challenges remain: tensions with minority groups and a younger generation eager for change. The country walks a tightrope between tradition and modernity. Bhutan proves isolation can be a sanctuary, not a sentence, a place where happiness and heritage matter more than wealth. It's a rare example of a nation resisting the tide of globalization, choosing its own path. The fortress in the clouds stands as a testament to the power of deliberate separation. Here, isolation is a tool for self-preservation, not fear. Bhutan's story is a counter-narrative to relentless modernization. It's a reminder that not all progress looks the same. In Bhutan, the world outside is kept at bay not out of paranoia, but out of love for what's within. The result is a society both ancient and alive, thriving in its chosen solitude. Bhutan's isolation is its greatest strength and its greatest challenge. Now to Tuvalu, a nation defined by distance, not design. In the heart of the Pacific, Tuvalu is one of the world's smallest and most remote countries. Getting there is a feat. Few flights, no major shipping lanes, and a population of just 11,000. The country is a chain of 9 low-lying atolls with the highest point only 15 feet above sea level. Isolation shapes everything: the economy, culture, and especially vulnerability. Community is strong, built on family, church, and traditional assemblies. But climate change is an existential threat. Rising seas regularly flood homes and contaminate water. Tuvalu's voice is faint on the world stage, but its leaders are fierce climate advocates, pleading for action as their land disappears. The paradox: their remoteness makes them invisible, yet they're on the front line of a global crisis. The economy relies on foreign aid, remittances, and the sale of its TV, internet domain. Internal travel is tough, ferries are infrequent, and infrastructure is minimal. There's one airport, one hospital, and one bank. The internet is slow and expensive. Development is a constant struggle. Tuvalu's isolation fosters resilience, but also profound vulnerability. Unlike North Korea or Bhutan, Tuvalu didn't choose its solitude. It was thrust upon them by geography. The nation is holding on, its fate tied to decisions made far away. Tuvalu is a powerful reminder. The world's most isolated places are often the most fragile. Their struggle is a warning and a call for connection. In Tuvalu, isolation is both a shield and a sentence. The rising tide threatens not just land, but a way of life. Their story is one the world cannot afford to ignore. In Central Asia, Turkmenistan is a fortress built on gas and secrecy. Since independence, two authoritarian leaders have ruled with eccentricity and absolute control. The cult of personality is everywhere. Golden statues, renamed months, and propaganda that elevates the leader above the state. Visas are rare, tourists are tightly monitored, and journalists are almost never allowed in. The government distrusts outsiders, sealing the country off from scrutiny. Inside, all media is state-owned, the internet is censored, and dissent is crushed. The country's immense gas reserves fund lavish projects in the capital, Ashgabat, a city of white marble and empty boulevards. Ordinary citizens see little of this wealth. Rural areas remain underdeveloped. The social contract, the state provides cheap utilities and the people surrender their freedoms. Fear and surveillance are constant companions. Even private conversations are risky. Economic isolation is deliberate. Foreign investment is limited and the black market thrives. Turkmenistan's isolation is a political project, using gas wealth to insulate itself from the world. The result is a gilded cage where reality is dictated from above and alternatives are unthinkable. The country is cut off not just from the global community, but from the idea of change itself. Turkmenistan is a modern hermit kingdom, its walls rising higher every year. Here, isolation is both a weapon and a shield. The outside world is kept at bay, and the people are kept in line. Our final stop is Antarctica, the ultimate isolated place. Not a country, but a continent with no government, no permanent residents, and no cities. Its isolation is total, the coldest, driest, windiest place on Earth, surrounded by stormy seas. Only a few thousand scientists and support staff live here temporarily, in research stations that feel like outposts on another planet. Antarctica is governed by the Antarctic Treaty, which bans military activity and preserves the continent for science. All territorial claims are frozen. The land is managed for the good of all humanity. Access is tightly controlled, scientists need approval, and tourists must follow strict environmental guidelines. The continent is a natural laboratory, with ice cores revealing Earth's climate history and unique ecosystems offering scientific insights. Any contamination could ruin priceless data. Isolation is essential for preservation. Life here is an exercise in extreme psychological and physical isolation, months of darkness, total self-sufficiency, and close quarters. NASA studies Antarctic crews to understand the effects of isolation, using it as a model for space missions. The treaty is a rare example of global cooperation, protecting the last great wilderness on Earth. But threats loom. Climate change is melting ice shelves, and the temptation to exploit resources grows as the treaty nears review. Antarctica's value lies in its emptiness and its silence, a place where nature still reigns. It's a fragile reminder of what restraint can achieve and what we risk losing. The frozen continent is held in trust for the future. Its isolation is both its greatest protection and its greatest vulnerability. Antarctica challenges us to think differently about ownership, stewardship, and the meaning of connection. It is the last truly wild place on the planet, and its fate depends on choices made far beyond its icy shores. From North Korea's fortress to Bhutan's sanctuary, from Tuvalu's sinking atolls to Antarctica's frozen expanse, isolation takes many forms. It can be a weapon, a shield, a curse, or a necessity, shaping nations and lives in profound ways. These places remind us that our connected world still has hidden corners and silent fortresses. They force us to ask, what's the cost of connection? What's the value of tradition? And what do we owe the vulnerable? The answers aren't simple, and every place tells a different story. The edges of the map are both physical and philosophical, challenging our assumptions about progress. Which of these places surprised you most? Would you visit even with the restrictions? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more journeys to the world's most unique places. Thanks for watching.